Okay, so it sounds like you're having a problem with capturing the UTM information and being carried over to AWeber. More and more people seem to be having this problem, so I'm not too sure if there's a disconnect or if there's been an update or Martin's training is, no longer relevant. But what you would have got up to in Martin's training is probably come into Convertri here. You would have already created the form in AWeber. You would have created or captured the script that he uses here, put it all in with all the different set cookies, started up. So this is training for after that, for if you feel like you've done everything that you possibly can to make Martin's training work, but it's still not capturing your information. So this is the solution that I found works like a treat, and I've never had a problem with it. So firstly, you go into your landing page, wherever it is. So this is my main page. I've got pretty much a replica of the page without the UTM, so where you're probably up to now. We're going to edit this page. So firstly, what we want to do is set up something called query string arguments, which Convertri has their own training on that, but I'll go through it very quickly now. If you go into forms, go down to forms here, query string arguments, you type in UTM source, so whatever information you want to get captured from the URL. Right, so what I mean by that is you need to put the argument in here, and then you match it with, you should have the whole list of different UTM information which you've configured in Martin's training. So you put UTM source, pretty easy, match UTM source to UTM source. Then you can add another one. You don't need to hit done when you've done this one. You can just keep adding more and more and more. UTM medium. For this training, I'm going to only do these two, but obviously you can go through and fill out the rest here. So doing those two, what that means is that it's actually going to query to my understanding, the information that's in the URL, which we get when we go into the URL builder, which you're probably familiar with, but we'll cover that in a moment. So what we're going to do is put in a form element, just another text input. And here we can, so to test that this works, first of all, obviously we're not going to leave this, we want this to not be visible. The only way that I've been able to make this work for it to get carried over to AWeber is that these actually have to be somewhere on your page, right? Now, they have to be actually on the page, but of course we don't want them to be visible. So I'll show you how we do that. So UTM source. So first thing we'll do is we'll just try one with it visible on the page to make sure that it does work, right? So that's all linked, that's mapped there. If we go publish this page, and now if we go over, put your website URL in here, whatever information that you want. Of course, I'm only using 2, but you can use as many as you'd like here. Copy URL. So when we paste this in here, all works correctly. See how this was populated. So the query string argument means that what Convertri has done here is it's gone and had a look at what's up here and automatically filled the box here. Similar to if you want to have, if you've somehow acquired the customer's name on a previous page, when they get, how it sometimes pre-fill their first name or their email. It makes it easier for people when they're filling out forms. It's what the query string argument does. So, of course, we don't want this visible now, but it still has to be on the page. So coming over back to Convertri, what we want to do now is just delete that, because we're not going to use that. We just use that as an example. There's something called layers here. So, that was from my previous training. I'm going to delete that. So what we want to do is have a new layer. So we can call this whatever we want, just UTM tracking. We're going to make this an invisible page behind your main page, but that has the information on it, if that makes sense, right? So if we select that, put a panel. Now what that means is that when that is selected, when we're working on this layer, you won't be able to interact with anything else behind that's not on the layer. So right now, all that we've got on the layer is this, which is why we deleted that old box. We couldn't just simply copy or drag it into this box. So in here, we want to put in the next form element, another text input, very similar to exactly what we just did before. I might get a couple of those. We'll do 2. There you go. You can do as many as you want, but we right now will just be working with these. Call that one UTM source. Map that to UTM source. And the next one here. UTM medium. Map that to UTM medium. Very good. So simple as that. Now we've got this selected, which means that we can, when we select it, we can see it. Right? You can make this look pretty. There's no point though because it's going to be invisible. But the most important part is this box here needs to be unclicked. Starts out invisible on the published page and then not shown on mobile. But as long as it's not visible on the published page, people won't see that. So only when you select it, you'll be able to see it and edit it. But it's still there, meaning that the query string theory, or the query string arguments will be able to, it'll still be registering that information. If that makes sense. Not sure if I'm explaining this very well. Great. So we want to go ahead and publish this page. Actually, I'll just double check that I did. Yep, cool. Excellent. I'll deselect it. Doesn't matter too much, but we'll publish the page. Just to make sure that it's not visible, we'll go and test out that page. So if we go and paste the same link in there. Great. So, I mean, the YouTube that we saw here, that was what we'd already deleted, but that should have still captured the same information, but on that hidden page, you can see it's not visible. But we can go ahead and test that by subscribing. So it would have captured this information here. Hit subscribe. And now what we'll find, okay, I've subscribed a lot of times with this email, so it often checks me if I'm a robot. Great, so well done, gone to my landing page. So now we can test that inside AWeber. And we'll see that it indeed did capture the information that we're after. So there you have it. It took me about 2 weeks of 2 40-hour weeks to figure this out. It took me a long time. But yeah, with the use of these, how to use query string theories with that hidden layer, that really helped, and it seems to be working a treat for me. So I hope that helps for anybody who is stuck with the UTM tracking.